We're here in Montreal at McGill campus, and we're just sort of looking for your perspectives, general reflections on the strike to start us off.
Okay, well, I'm Danielle. I'm from Calgary, so I find that the mindset of students here is a little bit different from like where I come from, and even though we had tuition hikes also in Alberta, people were less inclined to have like a movement because I guess we kind of know that when we're getting into post-secondary, we're going to have to pay for our education, whereas here, I mean, it's a little bit cheaper. They want to be subsidized even more, and I agree that tuition is never, like, it's not good for it to be increased, but at the same time, we have to be realistic and see what else the government is trying to put money into. Other than that, I find that sometimes the strikes are getting a little bit disruptive, and people they're trying to get to pay for their education are not really happy with all the disruptions.
Mm-hmm. And do you have comments as well?
Well, I'm from Montreal.
Okay.
So I don't know, I'm pretty used to like lots of student demonstrations and other kind of forms of protest, but I guess these student strikes for the hike have been pretty inconvenient for a lot of people. For me, not so much, because I managed to avoid a lot of the stuff that's been going on, but I think a lot of students are trying to get other students to see their perspective by means that aren't exactly ideal. I think they're trying to block some classes, trying to prevent students from getting to classes. I'm from Concordia, so there's less buildings, more kind of dense protests going on there.
I mean, there was only so many options, right?
But I'm in the engineering faculty, so a lot of students are like, stay home, like learning happens outside of the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But for my faculty, I think it's a little difficult to kind of understand that kind of perspective. It's really difficult for someone in engineering to start learning like differential equations at home just like that. So for me, it's been a bit mixed. Like I don't think I have enough knowledge to comment on whether the strikes are whether the tuition hikes are good or not.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it sucks to pay more, but I don't know anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any reasons why they're raising it, so my opinion on that is neutral. But as far as the strikes, I think it may or may not be the best thing to do for a lot of reasons, because it disrupts everyone and it makes just everyone hate the movement. Like most people that are working, for example, businesses don't like it because it disrupts their employees. So things like that are pretty unfortunate, but definitely there are other ways to get the message across.
Yeah, and on sort of tactics, because I think there's one thing about the content of messages, right? That people can have different ideas of what should be done around the tuition question, but then when it comes to tactics, conversations of tactics, what can you say more to, like, how would you go about trying to achieve the goals of either lower tuition or just maintaining low levels of tuition without the kind of movement that we've seen here? Just sort of, I know that's kind of a loaded question. I'm just sort of wondering if there's alternatives, because people are pretty creative when it comes to finding all kinds of ways. What would you sort of suggest as an engineering student who may not have felt engaged in the process or feels that there's other ways to go about doing things?
Well, definitely I think that the target should be more the government and not the, they can target the general public to kind of feel for their movement, but maybe not in a way that would inconvenience them, because I think that really puts them against the movement. I think maybe something more targeted towards the government and trying to get them to negotiate and forcing them into that position to negotiate is probably better than kind of disrupting maybe many people's daily business.
Yeah, for sure. And would you have a commentary on that as well?
Well, I agree with that, and I think the way that it's happening on the McGill campus, it's not really disrupting too many students, and there are a lot of people who support the strike but are not involved with it. So I think that's also a good way to get people involved and make them aware of the situation without really like forcing them to join. And we're still allowed to go to classes, and none of that has been a problem so far. So I think that might be a little bit better than what I've been hearing from other schools where nobody's really had a chance to go to school and like actually come here and do what they've been coming here for the past few years.
And then Because I'm from Alberta, I don't have a very strong context of what's happened on campus, but have there been teach-ins or educational opportunities about, like what does getting involved look like? Does that mean just going to the marches, or has there been sort of groups at McGill that are like, hey, we want to organize a speaker series of voices from the strike? Have you guys heard of anything like that, or would you be interested in getting involved? If I find someone, I'll pass them your way.
As far as I know, not a lot of McGill students are actually directly involved with the strike anymore. I'm not sure why that is, but I know that other schools, they have a very different outlook.
Okay. Anything to you?
Well, I don't know about many inviting places that people would say, come and join our movement. I just know there's a lot of, for example, I think one of the student union leaders in Concordia kind of burst into a meeting and started speaking on a megaphone and was disrupting everything. It was the meeting with the next potential president of the school, so it was kind of disrupting. Other than that, I'm not really aware of any kind of information sessions where they just talk about it instead of getting into a classroom and disrupting the class to make them aware of it.
Right. Okay. All right. Do you have any further questions?
How are y'all paying for college or university?
My parents are paying.
Okay.
And I have a Canada student loan and an Alberta student loan as well.
Okay.
Oh, you had to go through Alberta to get it here?
Yeah.
Okay,
If your
cool.
parents could not afford to pay for university, do you think it would reflect or change your opinion about how you think about the tuition increases or your motivations for fighting it? Or
I still think that I don't know enough about the tuition increases to make a decision, but I would definitely look into it more. I would have more of I would be more encouraged to look into why it's happening, and maybe I'd be able to make a decision then to protest or to oppose the hikes. But definitely, I think that there are other means instead of disrupting like that. I think I would be able to get a part-time job. I would look into getting to work part-time and take school part-time. It's not the end of the world, I think, for many people, but I know there's a lot of people in different situations, so I can't speak for everyone.
okay. Anything else you want to say? Or I'm from America. Anything you want to tell Americans? Anything you want to say just to let your side of the story be known? Or
well, as for me with the tuition, even though I have loans, I think it's a good investment. If you know that this is what you want to do, then of course you're going to have to sacrifice some things. And if tuition is going to increase, if that's what you want to do, then you'll continue doing it regardless of the cost. And there are people in Ontario paying some $12,000 for tuition, and in the US it's probably a lot more too. So a bit of an increase here and there, it's a big deal right now, but I mean later down the road when people look back on their education and say, yeah, I finished it, and a few $100s doesn't make that much of a difference then.
For sure. All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.